Hello, and welcome to the Everyday Tarot Podcast, your deep dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, your hallowed high priestess, tarot reader, and professional witch, and today I'm talking about a summer solstice spread. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every Monday to check out the latest episode. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you want to access the most up-to-date info on my upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life, my newsletter is a one-stop shop. I just published my Hallowed High Priestess unique tarot spread that I use into a workbook, so you can try it out on your own for free when you join my newsletter list. And I'll have the link in the show notes below to do that. As of today, as I'm recording this, June 12th, 2026, I am going to be offering pay what you can tarot readings for the next month. So I have created a link for that. So if you've been wanting to get a reading from me, but maybe you're worried about the price or just not totally sure, check this offer out. You'll get a 30-minute virtual video reading with me. Afterwards, I'll send you a full write-up of the cards, what we talked about, themes discussed, and images of all the cards that I pulled during the reading. Yeah, so go ahead and check that out. My standard reading is a 5-card tarot reading. That I sell for $55. And usually that's a 30-minute one. So this is comparable to that. So if you want to pay the normal price, you can do that too. I'll have that link below as well. But yeah, for this next month, I would love to just get a bunch more readings under my belt. So go ahead and get those scheduled now. They can be scheduled for in the future, but you can pay what you can now for this month. All right. And if you're interested or know someone that might be a good fit to be a guest on the podcast, you can fill out my form, also linked in the show notes, or send me an email, me@camillesaunders.com. If you have someone in mind that you would love to see, a tarot deck artist, someone that writes about tarot, anything like that, you can always just shoot their name to me and I'll reach out to them and see if they're willing to come on the podcast. And you can always find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on Patreon, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. So today I'm doing a summer solstice spread. This is coming out kind of like the week before summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. So you can get prepared, you can get your ducks, you can see kind of what comes up for me and what I see as the collective tarot reading. And then of course you can go ahead and do the spread yourself on the actual summer solstice if you would like. Usually the summer solstice is about around June 21st. Let me look real quick about when it comes in this year. It'll be, Sunday the 21st at 1:24 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So, I will not be doing a reading at 1 a.m. I'll probably either do it on Saturday, the day before, probably that. And then if I don't get to it, I'll do it on Sunday myself. Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. I found this tarot spread at tarotassociation.net. It's a longer spread. It has 9 cards. And personally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sun card out of the deck. I'm going to put it in front of me. So I'll be using the Snag Tarot cards to sort of center my spread there. And then this spread will sort of create an image of a sun, sort of, as well. So you can choose whether you want to pull out your sun card or not. Some readings do, some don't. Today, I wanted to adapt this one to actually pull that card out to kind of center our reading around, since this is summer solstice. And this reading is specifically talking about how to realign to your highest light. Again, I'll have the link in the show notes if you want to go to the source and find the spread yourself. I went to the website of tarotassociation.net to the spread. This is the image that they have. It looks like it's probably pulled from a book. So there's what's in the spread in the book, and then there's kind of their interpretation of it. And of course, I'm taking my interpretation of the interpretation. So take that as you will, as to what comes up. All right, so let's get into it. So grab your deck. Like I said, I'm going to be using the Snag Tarot that I've been loving the last month or two. I pulled my sun card out, like I said. This is a long spread, so make a lot of room on your desk or your table, wherever you're going to be setting them out. And let's get into it. I always cut my deck. So I'm going to lay out all my cards first, and then we'll see what's coming up. So you do one in the middle, one up top, and then you kind of make a circle around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you go one on the left and one on the right. Okay, we have a lot of major arcana cards already, and I've pulled all of them, I think, this month previously. So this is going to be fun. So this deck does not have different reversal definitions. So I'll be going off of perhaps the upright definition, and then we'll vibe about what we think this is about. So the Snag Tarot has a digital guidebook, which I kind of love for doing the podcast. So, okay, so our first card, the one in the middle, is it says, "What's one thing must I do as a pattern in my life?" Okay, wait, let me find that's confusing language. Okay, I have so many tabs. Okay, so yeah, my interpretation of this says the first card is Bright Core, the card of your present burning, what can fuel you and sustain you, own it and burn with it. And I pulled the 10 of Cups. I did pull it in reverse, so we'll have to see what I think about that. So here we have the 10 of Cups over here on the left. I'll try to make it so you can see the whole thing here. So you sort of have this, like, I don't know, family dynamic. Looks very like baby Jesus-esque to me, like the nativity scene, sort of. Cups are water sign, kind of emotions. And again, this is our present burning, what can fuel you and sustain you, own with it, burn with it. So upright, down here it says the traditional meaning, emotional fulfillment, again with that cups and tens, that we have the fulfillment of tens and the emotion of cups, harmony, lasting happiness, strong relationships, family bonds, again that could be chosen family, or just kind of people that are close to you. And this deck says their take on it is the 10 of Cups represents a sense of emotional alignment and connection, could be within your relationships, again, chosen family, community, reflects a feeling of belonging and mutual care. It also invites you to define happiness for yourself rather than relying on traditional ideas of what it should look like. And I do like that because, again, this is perhaps a fairly traditional depiction of like what family might look like. It looks like 2 parents and a baby. But again, that can look like however you define happiness and that like emotional alignment and connection for yourself. So if we think about the prompt again, which was the card of your present burning, what can fuel you and sustain you, own with it, burn with it. This could be really wanting to find that fulfillment, having a family, finding a partnership, finding community. So that would be kind of the upright version of this. If we think about it reversed, I would sort of say that that brightness that's coming along with the prompt might be this sort of like fiery fuel, that it might feel like you want this really bad, but you don't have it. Or like what you want is, again, the emotional fulfillment, the sort of safety, security, chosen family, community, like you really want that. And maybe right now it's feeling out of balance, or it's feeling like you're attempting to like attain it, but you don't feel like you have it. I mean, again, water, like cups are the water suit. Water is, right, can kind of like really slip through your fingertips. We kind of have down here a depiction of a pond, I would say, like with some flowers, some lily or lotus flowers and lily pads down here. So there can be that kind of like containment of, here's your whole, ecosystem in this small body of water. And or right, if that's like leaking, or if it's raining a lot and you're getting like a lot of, again, if we follow the metaphor here, if you have this little pond and it's raining all the time and adding to it, you're going to feel like you're emotionally overflowing, which could feel out of control. So I think to me, this is about this, like, maybe you do want the traditional, ideas of what that would look like, and you feel like you can't have it, or it's not coming to you right now, or perhaps like you are still struggling to figure out what is happiness for yourself. What is your version of this emotional alignment and connection, chosen family, relationships, and community? What's your version of this like visual here? Which I think is a little more of like what I'm feeling right now, is like there's sort of this desire for something like this, but it might not look exactly like this, and feeling a little bit like, what parts do I want? What do I not? What feels aligned? What am I rejecting? What might look on the outside like one thing, but feel to me very different, etc. Okay, let's go to card 2, which is the card at the top. This is your radiance, how you can express yourself best and how you can communicate. And for this, I pulled the King of Wands. So we'll go back here and find the King of Wands. All right. Here they are over here. So upright, this is about leadership, vision, right? This person looks like a position of leadership and vision. We see the sun behind them, right? So we sort of have that sunniness in this card. Wands are the fire element of tarot, the fire suit. So just like the sun, right? So we kind of have these colors. We have this like, I guess like torch here, and fire down here. We have this kind of swirliness, which we see in the card and the flames, but then also kind of in this tattoo on his chest. There's this vision of kind of looking forward. The artist says their take on the card is vision and direction, a clear sense of where things are going, and the confidence to lead the way. The card can point to taking initiative and thinking beyond the immediate moment. It also asks you to consider how your actions affect others. Leadership is not just about moving forward or kind of like pushing something forward, but about bringing people with you in a way that is fair and sustainable. So again, if we go back to the prompt here, the prompt was how you express yourself best and how you communicate. So they're saying, right, like you communicate like the King of Wands. You have this vision and sort of leadership. You provide direction. You have the clear sense of where things are going and confidence with that. And sometimes this means that we have to think about how do we bring people along with us, right? How do we share the vision or explain it, or again, kind of like show maybe through this confidence of what you really see in the future. And then, because you need people on board with you. Again, if we think of a king in sort of the like traditional monarchy sense, the king was the one deciding what the knights went out to do or what was going on, what the country or area was committing to. What are you doing, not doing? What's the future of the people that you are kind of like lording over? And again, I don't always lean into that version of the kind of like strict monarchy version of the king card, but I think if we see this as like the king as in the minor arcana journey of the wands, the king, kind of just like the 10 in our press card, is that kind of like completion, leadership aspect, seeing the vision forward. So, how do we kind of for ourselves find our inner king, the confidence with the vision and direction, and then how do we communicate it to others? Because, of course, that's where a lot of interpretation can come in. And also, it's like a king is nothing without all of the people underneath, or kind of all of the people working for them, or going out and actually completing the different missions and things. So maybe it's also about this kind of like, I want to say managing people, but that sounds very top down. I want to say it's like, how do you, again, what they say, how do you bring people with you in a way that it's fair and sustainable? How do you find the way to be a leader without exploiting people or without just kind of like bulldozing over people with your own ideas? And to think about the future, right? Like sometimes I think in particular in US society, like we love to talk about the here and now and kind of the short-term thinking, and we're not always thinking 5, 10, 20, 100 years in the future and what these actions will mean. So this card also encourages us to think like, yeah, what's the 5-year plan? And maybe you see what you want in the 5-year plan or what you feel like you're trying to achieve. And then it's also about, okay, how do I work with other people to have that vision come true in a way that, again, is not exploiting or oppressing others? Okay, on to card 3. So our prompt here is 3 is about the subtle light. It says an odd position which shows some insight into a particular issue of your life that needs a new light. Okay, and for this one, I gotta go back and see what position it is. Okay, so it's in the inner circle. It's the card to the right of the 2, so like the top right card. And for this, I pulled the Ace of Swords reversed, which is kind of interesting to me. So again, our prompt is what this is showing us some insight into a particular issue of your life that needs a new light. So upright, the Ace of Swords, right? We have it here. The Ace is the beginning of something. We have the swords as being about intellect or ideas, right? Clarity, truth, breakthroughs, mental sharpness or acuity, communication, the airiness, right? Swords are the air element. So, right, verbalizing things, like saying things out loud is often how we communicate things. The swords are also very like biting or like get to the core of an idea. And so thinking about that, like seeing things clearly. So upright, again, here's the traditional meaning, and they say their take is the Ace of Swords brings clarity. Something cuts through the noise. You're able to see things as they are. This can feel relieving, but it may also be uncomfortable if the truth is not what you hoped for. It asks you to be honest, both with yourself and others. Clear thinking is powerful, but it also carries responsibility in how it is used. So this is like kind of hilarious because our prompt is the card is supposed to show us insight into a particular issue in your life that needs a new light. And this card is about clarity and like finding something coming to light. So it's like a meta message. So again, if we think about this in the reverse, I would say like perhaps like you know the uncomfortable truth right now, but you don't feel like you're able to move forward with it yet. Again, if we think about the King of Wands from last card and that vision, right? Perhaps something is feeling like it's time to let it go. It's time to start on this kind of like new mission, right? Aces are all about the beginning of the journey. But we're feeling reluctant or resistant to that idea right now that like perhaps we do actually have some clarity, but there's something that feels like I don't want to do that yet. It has that big responsibility about how it's used. I'm gonna grab my upside down tarot book that talks about reversals. So I'm talking about the Upside Down Tarot, How Reversals Add Depth to Your Reading by Joanne Bunning. So if we look up the Ace of Swords in here, so this does go through every card, and it actually gives you like a bunch of different ways to interpret the reversal. Okay, Ace of Swords reversed. So you either have kind of the mental force, the fortitude, the justice, or the truth aspects of this. So I'm going to kind of skim through and see what I think feels relevant to me. It says it could be about you're feeling a lack of outlet for your intelligence or maybe like a learning. Your ideas are not being heard. There might be something where you are needing to express your thoughts. Let's see, fortitude. No one is letting you try. Your persistence is not appreciated. Obstacles are few. People are not enduring. You may have to show fortitude. Your resolve may be tested in the future. You may need to face your problems. That's kind of always coming up for me, that there's this level of like there was an obstacle. There's some clarity around, I think this is what needs to happen in order to get past the obstacle, but there's still a reluctance about doing that. There's with the keyword of justice, it could be more about like you don't feel like you're being treated fairly, you're not feeling supported, people are not staying impartial, they're like picking sides. And then with the keyword of truth, says the opportunity to be truthful might be missing. Honesty doesn't feel like it's being encouraged. You're not allowed to say what you think. People can't let go of illusions. The facts are being ignored. You're resisting the urge to confess. You might be needing to be honest with yourself or others. Someone might open you up to the facts. And the opportunity to be truthful might be fading. It's not as easy to be honest now. So yeah, again, this book talks about, it has, yeah, maybe I'll talk about it entirely in a full episode about the sort of way that to go about reading this book, with these keywords. There's been something that feels like it has become clear lately, but it still is, there's some reluctance around making that change, letting that thing go, whatever it is. Okay, on to the next one. For card 4, we're right below that, kind of at the bottom right of our inner circle here of cards. And for this one, it says how you can get out of your own way. Okay, so maybe right with that last one, we might have been getting our own way. So this card's about how you can get out of your own way, something to go around, let go, or pass by. And for this one, I pulled the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups here. I have pulled this particular card a lot. So upright, it's about usually like romance, idealism. Again, it's cups. So there's this like emotional pursuit. The knights pursue. We have the emotional aspect of cups, following the heart. This says their take on it is that the Knight of Cups follows feeling over logic. This can be powerful, especially when it leads you towards something meaningful. It can also raise questions about balance. Are you seeing things as they are or as you hope they will be? This card invites you to honor your emotions while staying grounded enough to act on them in a way that is sustainable. So again, if we go back to our prompt, how do you get out of your own way? Something to go around, let go, or pass by. It sounds like intuition, right? Following your feeling over logic. And again, with kind of the theme that's been coming up with the other cards, like we have the thing we want, we have the vision of like the future, the 5-year plan, the how we get the big vision of where we want to be. We have the something has to be let go of or passed by, let go of, released, that feels challenging right now. And this card says like, yeah, you know the thing. um right, it's leading us towards something. We're try to stay grounded enough to act on them in a way that is sustainable. So again, it might be this fear coming up of, okay, for example, the message I'm getting, the thing I think I need to do is leave my job or a relationship, or I need to move, or like something big like that. And then perhaps right now we're feeling stuck in the I couldn't do that. My rent, I still have to pay for 3 more months, or that was not the long-term plan, right? I thought this was gonna be work out for longer. And I feel like this card is saying like, yes, and like we honor the feeling over the logic right now. Like, yes, it's important to stay grounded, and yes, it might feel like we're making a decision like from our emotional state, but that right now, um, that gut feeling is what you should go with. And then maybe we start doing the planning and the what would that actually look like, and like talking to other people about it, researching okay, what happens if I were to break my lease right now, or if I was to put in my notice at my job, or whatever it is. What would the plan be? How do I actually like go forth and do this thing in a way that honors the emotional gut feeling I have, but that is not flippant? Because again, the nights are about like going forth and doing the thing, carrying out the orders. Okay, card 5, which is the one at the bottom, says Summer Party, a card which shows what you bring to everyone else around you when you are most true. Do it more. And this card is hilarious to me because it's the Death card. So let's go up and look at the Death card here, where I'm like, ooh, what do I bring to the function? And they're like, transformation and death. Endings, transformation, transition. Death represents the closing of one chapter, the beginning of another. Less about literal loss and more about necessary change and renewal. I think, again, this feels very ironic because, of course, the last card I was just talking about, like something maybe, right? You're hearing this message of I need to let go of something, like I need to transition, right? And now this is like a meta thing where the cards seem to be telling me that I am now imparting this message as like the death messenger to you or to myself or whoever is listening. That again, it's not about literal loss. Usually it's not about literal death, but it's more about this like need to change and renew and like rebirth into something else. Death marks a profound transformation that cannot be reversed. It's a point to the end of identities, relationships, or systems that no longer serve you. This card asks you to release what has run its course, even if it feels uncomfortable. Yep, that message keeps coming up. To make space for something new. It also holds the idea of composting, that what ends can nourish what comes next. And if the idea of composting does not work for you, you can think of like the phoenix rising from the ashes, or Yeah, composting is kind of the very like literal. You take a thing, you're going to put the nutrients, you're going to break them down, and then you're going to use those nutrients to nourish your garden or whatever it is for the next year. But again, you can think of it as like the cycle of the phoenix, where the phoenix grows older and bigger and feathery and goes things out, and then literally burns and like turns to ash. And from the ash, the baby bird arises again. Um, so something is coming from this ending, and sometimes we need the end to nourish what's coming next. Like we can't just move on from the thing without recognizing the transition and the transformation, and that like it says here, a transformation that cannot be reversed. Like it's already happening. And again, this might be that feeling of like a little bit of freak out. That right now, this is what we're bringing to the party, the summer party, which is again hilarious because summer solstice is like the height of energy, of sunlight, of emotion, of like the height of the year. But then again, the day after summer solstice, we start to move into less daylight and less things. So I guess in some ways, this feels very apt. And this is the middle of the reading. This is card 5 when we're going to 9. So I'm like, oh, perfect. Like, okay, we have all this set up, right, with our other cards. And then, right, summer solstice is solidifying us in this transformation process. And then I sort of see like, okay, the next cards are going to kind of let us know like what's next. That's going to be my assumption at least. So as we move to card 6, so the bottom left card of that inner circle, the ancient light, what to leave behind in shadow. And again, like kind of hilarious to me, justice. It says, so traditionally justice is about fairness, truth, accountability, cause and effect, right? Balancing of things. You see the scales of justice in the image here, which are kind of about the justice system a lot of the time. Balance, consequences of actions, often pointing to ethical decisions, honesty, and responsibility. Justice asks you to consider what true fairness looks like, not just in theory, but in practice. It can point to accountability, repair, and the need to address imbalance rather than ignore it. So, right, perhaps there is something where in your life that again feels like you've been trying to balance it and it hasn't been working, or you've been trying to, right, perhaps we've been ignoring it. And this says this card may highlight a situation where equal is not the same as just, right? um Even though we have this kind of like scales of justice here, um, it invites a deeper look at context, harm, and responsibility. It's interesting. My mind immediately, when I saw this card, went to I've been watching A Good Girl's Guide to Murder Netflix TV show. Um, and our main character goes throughout this like journey of what is justice. We have the justice system, we have policing, we have like what we think is going to work, or the sort of like formalized system that we've been told is honest and responsible and balanced, right? Again, the justice card's very often about like the literal justice system, legal things that are going on for you. But I would say kind of the protagonist journey in the storyline with that. So the second season just came out on Netflix. There are 3 books, so I just finished the 3rd book, which will probably be the 3rd season. And I feel like our protagonist goes on this journey of like, oh, okay, I thought that by making sure people went to jail or went to the court or had a trial, that things would feel just, or that I thought that it would satisfy me, or kind of like them as a true crime, like trying to solve a murder situation. But I would say they go through their own like death card transformation throughout the series, in which they sort of, I would say, come to a different conclusion about what justice actually looks and feels like for survivors, for people that have been wronged, for communities, and that sometimes that honesty is really hurtful to people. And not that that means that you shouldn't be honest, but that's part of kind of the like taking accountability aspect of it, right? Like we can't just ignore it or say that like, okay, I did this thing that the system tells me to do, which is call the police or report something. And now I'm like, okay, that's like their job to go take care of that. But right, this card says it invites a deeper look at context, harm, and responsibility. So I guess there's something in our lives or in situations that are coming up that are really trying to remind us that we are leaving. What are we leaving behind? In shadow is perhaps this idea that like, this is a complicated one because the justice card is seen as so like fair, honest, responsible, right? But again, just that like, what does it look like in practice? What does it actually feel like to get justice or to feel just? Because again, like, we love to justify our actions, to use that word, which sometimes means being very defensive or saying like, well, I only did this because you did this. And it's like, well, that may be true. And that doesn't mean that you're not responsible for the harm that you've perhaps caused. Okay, we'll move to the next one. 7 is the top left card. This prompt is, what can you learn from your past to get on with things more easily in the future? And I pulled the star. I love the star card. I pulled this one a lot too. So the star, death, the Knight of Cups. I have the Magician in a minute. Those have all come up for me in the last month. And perhaps even on the podcast. The star. So again, our prompt was, easy living, what you can learn from your past to get on with things more easily in the future. So the star is all about hope, healing, renewal, and guidance. Traditionally, the upright meaning represents a sense of calm after difficulty and a quiet return of trust and faith in the future. So it is this like hopefulness, again, like kind of how we're nourishing or renewing ourselves. This depiction of the star is very like Piscean. It has the shells of like the ocean vibes. We have this very like flowiness of the fabric and the pink, and even in the background, the pink and purpley kind of looks like the fish that are often depicted with Pisces. The star is associated with Aquarius zodiac sign, so I'm a sun sign Aquarius, so the star is my like zodiac sign card. So they say here the star offers restoration, can point to a period of healing after struggle where hope begins to feel possible again. The card invites you to reconnect with a sense of worthiness, also speaks to gentle guidance, following what feels nourishing and true, even if the path ahead is not clear. So again, it is this like, okay, I'm being hopeful for the future. I'm thinking about that things are going to get better, that I'm healing, that again, I'm nourishing myself. I am worthy. I'm worthy of a break and rest and again, nourishment. And that while we may want, right, the clarity of the King of Wands about the 5-year, 10-year plan, or we want all of that, of which is the 10 of Cups, sometimes the path is not clear, right? And that the star card is telling us that's okay. You don't need to know entirely how we're going to get there, but it's going to happen. And it is this sort of like faith in the future, right? As they say right here, quiet return of trust and faith in the future. So it's kind of learning how to kind of be optimistic or hopeful again, perhaps after, right, our transformation of death or the feeling of, well, that's not there came up for us. Okay, I need to look at the diagram. Okay, so the card all the way on the left is next, which is the 8th prompt, which is glory, what your higher self wants you to remember most today. And I pulled the Magician reversed, the Magician upright, as we have here. Traditional meaning manifestation, resourcefulness, power, action, ability to turn things like into reality or opportunities. It's the card of like manifesting, the number 1. Again, the Magician can also be about kind of like creating something out of nothing, or sometimes even illusions. So again, their take on it says, reminds you already have what you need to create change. You have the agency. The card can signal the beginning of action, especially when you've been waiting for external validation. So again, if we think about this reversed, right, I would say that there's almost that level of it even more, that there is this, you can take action without the external validation, which again, coming up from the star card, the star is all about like, gotta believe, gotta hope that things in the future will get better, even if we're not quite sure how to create it yet, right? Perhaps in the past, you feel like you've been trying to be the magician, to create something out of nothing, to like, I think of also like manifesting, resourcefulness, like is very like scrappy. It's very like, I'm gonna make something out of nothing. I'm gonna make it work for me. And when we think about the reversal of it, I feel like there is this level of like, okay, you have a lot of experience doing that, but like, what if there's more? What if you don't actually have to like work so hard and be so like scrappy to have the things that you want? And perhaps even that kind of like scrappiness attitude, or like only, I want to say like only paying for things when you can like get down to the dollar level about why it is exactly like why you need it, and like prove it to yourself before you like grant yourself any sort of leeway. I feel like this card is saying like, no, we gotta hold something that's a little bit bigger. We have to have the vision that actually we can have more than the things that we have just created physically from our own like grit and again like magic, and that actually there's like even more coming for you, and that to believe that there is more, your higher self wants you to remember that like actually you can have it all. I don't say that lightly, I guess, but just that like you can have the big vision. You can really have the big thing, right? The 10 of Cups upright, the like full, complete emotional fulfillment. And so like you need to remember that and not just take what you're getting right now, or take what scraps you've been able to kind of like piece together. And then for the last card, it says what your higher self wants you to do more in the future. And this is called the Spark. And for this one, we pulled the King of Swords. So we're going down to the King of Swords here. Again, we have a lot of major arcana cards. We have multiple kings. We have ace, like very powerful energy, I would say. So here's the King of Swords here, looking sort of, I don't know, forlorn. So upright, traditionally, it's about, again, here, authority, logic, structure, intellectual power, right? The swords being that like mental acuity, the logic, the like strategizing, like thinking everything 10 steps ahead of time. And it sounds like, right, if the prompt is, this is what your higher self wants you to do more in the future, is to like have this big vision, right, that you've seen with the 10 of Cups, the Ace of Swords, the King of Wands, all of those, the Star, that hopefulness, using like the things, the magic you've created, and that now we're going to like make decisions based off of the big picture of what we want. They're based on reason and fairness, and like having this very like overarching view of the situation. This card can point to leadership that values truth and accountability, right? So just like the Justice card, right, still has that level of okay, like I can be accountable. I can set goals for myself. I can have this big vision and I can follow through with it. And I can like have the big, again, overarching vision for things, even if I don't totally know in the details about like how it's going to happen. It says it asks you to consider how you are using your voice and perspective. Clarity is a tool and how you apply it matters. So again, that like clear thinking, strong judgment, same like with the magician card of that kind of like you have the vision, you have the thing that you know you want, and you can see all the pieces. Again, if the King of Swords is ever the like chess master strategist, the logic, the structure, the intellectual power of seeing the clear thinking of it all, that can be enough. That can be the pieces and how we like pull this all together. And right, again, the prompt was this is what your higher self wants you to do more in the future, is to actually again like listen to yourself and be accountable to your truth and the leadership of your accountability, right? Take accountability when things don't go well or when perhaps you have taken advantage of other people in the past or situations, and to be really clear about how you're using your voice and perspective. Because again, when you're a leader like the King of Swords, like people listen, especially when there's this like strategy that comes with it. So you better be really sure about the message that you're conveying, not just like not just the believing of it that's there, but the enactment too. That clarity, not everyone has that. The clarity is a tool, and like how you actually apply it matters. Sharing the vision with other people. Again, using your voice to say, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I think should be happening, or this is what I'm going to do. And using that level of like fairness that we talked about with justice and um the magician of saying like, no, I see what's happening. And kind of again, the swords are about like cutting to the quick, like they can be direct and kind of like biting with their words, but right, your higher self is saying through this prompt that like, nope, that's what you gotta do. You don't sugarcoat it. Like be clear about it. And then also take responsibility yourself. Like you can model taking responsibility and having that clarity in your actions. And this is interesting to me. So the Ten of Cups and the King of Swords, where we started and ended, are right next to each other in this, how they organize the cards in this deck. So very nice. Okay. I am going to go grab my deck and pull one more card to see what the cards have to say on this overall spread. If there's anything else they want to share, I'm going to pull a very different deck. I'm going to go grab my Oracle deck, the Dirt Gems Oracle deck, and be right back. All right. So again, this is the Dirt Gems Plant Oracle deck by Anne Louise Burdett and illustrated by Chelsea Granger. I've been using this as like pulling a card from it every day, every morning. And actually I've been taking a picture of the card and then using it as my phone, like wallpaper, so changing it like every day. So that's been kind of fun. Okay. Well, I immediately had two cards fall out. So I pulled this one the other day. I pulled Elder and then I pulled Aconite. Two very visually different cards. So again, these are plants. So if you ever heard of elderberries or elderflower, that's what we are talking about. Okay, 16. Okay. Elder. We know this word. The elder is the kind of archetype of the ancestor in this deck. We look to this figure for guidance. Elder is a crone plant, kind but rigid. Elder will not accept less than your whole striving, full self. Elder will not be tolerant of your beliefs about your own shortcomings. Elder guides and opens. They are patient but not soft. Elder is the parent, guardian, grandparent, sibling who gives you the structure you need to survive and thrive. Elder is the strict mother, not the fun aunt. This plant ally is divinely wise with children and those of us who may need to be held like a child. Elder tirelessly gives this support. If your edges are frayed, if you are convalescing, or if you simply need to feel small, quiet, and able to rebuild, Elder will show up and hold your hand. Elder will guide you and comfort you, but at times they will do so with tough love. Elder will ask that you listen to the truths that you don't always want to hear. Elder will ask you to rest and rebuild yourself, then stand up and hold your head high. And you can, because Elder believes in you. This old one, the wise one, Elder is known for their power to ward off evil, to create places of reverence where magic can be conducted. Elder knows what it means to build sacredness and lasting, meaningful relationships to self and others. Just as you do with the elders in your life, you must always ask for their permission and their blessing. Let this ancient one stand over you, arms outstretched, to pull you up and lift your chin. And if you look at the image, it has this like really big tree on it. We see, and then there's kind of like all these things in the tree. We see like hands, a house or a building, what's maybe like a crow. I see like a wine glass or a goblet, a chair, and then we kind of have some animals and a person down below. It's like Elder is everything. It's like holding all of this stuff together. Again, let this ancient one stand over you and arms outstretched to pull you up and lift your chin. I feel like that's what the image is depicting there. So very like strongly held. And then Aconite is the sort of magician card of this deck. I think it's the number 1 card. So Aconite is considered the queen of poisons and mirrors. It's not commonly a common plant to talk about, but you may have heard about it in like the poison world. Aconite is an edge walker known as the queen of poisons. Aconite is a plant that can be taken seriously, dangerously, and reverently. It is an ally and friend not to be trifled with. Poison plants show us the edges of what is possible, guarding the gates that are not meant to be passed until the time is right. Poison plants demand attention and respect. Aconite is a beautiful and enticing plant that draws you to the fork in the road and tells you to make a choice. While this plant has a dark history used on poison arrows and war and to silently murder enemies in the night, its true tale is another nature. Aconite is a plant that speaks to courage, love, and claiming our integrity over our dread. There has always been pain and violence in the world, driven mostly by fear, unreleased trauma, and instability. These fears and worries can be expressed as harm towards others and the world at large, or they can be nurtured and dissolved through the fiercest, most courageous love we can summon. Aconite asks this of us and, in fact, requires it. Sometimes referred to as the scorpion's tail, Aconite is a lightning strike, a warning. Find the spark of love burning in your deepest places and release it out into the world. You are much more powerful than our greatest fears, and only the force of love can be the source of transformation. Strike out and pierce the heart with Aconite's accompaniment. So I feel like this duo of cards is very like after this reading, the elder's like, I'll hold you. I got you. I'm going to be direct. It's sometimes going to be tough love, but like, don't worry. I will like hold the structure of you. I can like be your foundation. And Aconite is like, I will help you fight to the quick and have that courage, right? Of like, there may be traumas you've gone through, there may be things, and sometimes we can find that Aconite can be that thing that kind of like transforms something painful into perhaps something that helps other people. And can also transform, again, kind of like our greatest fears or traumas into this sort of loving, giving part of ourselves where we can write about or do art of any kind to transmute our past into this something that's this courageous, loving, claiming our integrity over our own like dread or fears. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stop there because this has been a long episode already. Again, that was the Dirt Gems Oracle, and I used the Snag Tarot deck earlier. Just a reminder, episodes go out weekly, published on Mondays. I will have guest episodes about once a month. Every episode will be out on video in 2026, on Spotify and YouTube, and probably starting this month, other places as well. Apple Podcasts is rolling out their video, and I'm trying to put the put the podcast on a different platform so I can do a little bit more with it. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, you can fill out my form to be a guest in the show notes, my guest inquiry form. Links for the decks I talk about will always be in the show notes and on Patreon if you want to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Tune in every Monday to check out the latest episode. And you can always email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.